Alright, this will be my first attempt at a YouTube video. I haven't done a product review video, unboxing, anything like that in the past. So, me being me, I prefer to do stuff in one cut. So this video may be kind of old school YouTube, really crappy content, really crappy presentation, really crappy editing. If any editing at all, probably just do it straight out of the camera. Anyway, so today, I went ahead and went to Harbor Freight and purchased the Hercules 12-gallon OSHA dust extracting vacuum. So what I'm looking for is something to make my woodworking safer in my shop. So I've got a decent sized shop. It's like 23 by 34, 10-foot ceilings. I do have, you probably can't see it in the video, one of the Jet AFS 1000 dust extractors up in the ceiling. And I need something more for collecting point source dust. So I do some woodworking. I may do something different for weld extraction, plasma cutting, that sort of thing. But for now, I'm worried about wood dust not getting to my lung and eventually killing me. So if I can avoid that, I'll be happy. So my current setup I've been using in the shop is an ancient Craftsman 5-gallon vac that I bought, 5 horsepower vac, 12-gallon, that I bought probably 20 years ago. And that thing has served me well. It hasn't broken, hasn't self-destructed yet. And recently I tried adding the HEPA filter and bag from Rigid, because they happen to fit that same filter as this particular vac uses. And tried to protect my lungs somewhat. And I also added the Syntec quick click separator and their excellent vacuum hose. I'm actually really stoked with that whole vacuum setup as far as how it works, with the exception of the noise. So I'll fire this thing up in a second. You probably can't hear it in the video, but when I do hit the switch on it, it is noisy. So you can't really hear me talking over it very well. So you can actually hear me talking again if you want to. But the nice thing is that quick click separator does a fantastic job of catching pretty fine dust. I just checked, I did a couple projects, cut up a bunch of wood, did some drywall sanding, and the actual bag in the vacuum is pretty well untouched. But the Syntec, when I poured it out, I put 2 full buckets of debris got collected in there. And when I dumped them out, it was almost like talcum powder was stuck to the side of the bucket on the inside from static. So that thing really does seem to do a great job of getting the super fine dust before it actually makes it to the vacuum. So I don't know what the spec is on this Craftsman vac as far as what it's pulling as far as CFM. It's old enough that who knows. But the rating on the new Hercules vac is 155 CFM. When I looked at the new 6 horsepower rigid vac, it was showing 165 CFM. So now the interesting thing about the Hercules, we can pan over back to it, is this thing does have a small hose. It's going to be similar to the size of the Syntec hose, and so I think it might do better as far as working in that atmosphere of being used to the small hose and making a lot less noise while doing the job. So, for the record, I did open this thing up at the Harbor Freight store, so we'll call this an unboxing video, but is it? Because it's already been out once. So I'll go ahead and chop into this thing now. So I don't have a monitor on the camera, so if I happen to get out of camera, I'm not going to be able to see that. So I'm kind of working on the assumption that I'm staying within the zone. So we're going to go ahead and open this thing up. And so we have an owner's manual. Don't care about that. Who's going to read those? We have some cardboard. Don't care about that. We're not going to use it. We have a shop cleaning accessory wand. That looks pretty cool. Looks like we've got some metal piping in here. So I don't know if you can see that or not. Another little triangle of cardboard with some metal piping here. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and pick this thing up. It's not super heavy. I don't know, it's probably 35, 40 pounds or something. Like I said, I did have this out of the package at the store, so I can't remember if the plastic was coming from the top down or the bottom up. So for those of you really concerned about this being a unboxing, no, it's as good as I can do. Anyway, so first look at this thing. On the good side, height-wise, it is going to fit in my cabinet. If I go ahead and measure the cabinet, I'll pan over for this so you can kind of see what I'm doing. If I measure the cabinet this thing fits in under the miter saw, I have 31.5 inches. If I go back over here to the vacuum itself, the vacuum with the handle down is about 27.5 inches. So it's going to fit. It also looks like it might be a little bit narrower profile than the Craftsman vac it's replacing. So we got a decently long cord over here, pretty heavy duty. It's actually a 14 gauge cable, which is nice. That kind of aligns with the tool having a 15 amp draw. We've got a little tool storage thing in the back that I'm never going to use because it's going to be living under that cabinet forever. We've got a little hose grabber over here to coil the hose up on top. Kind of similar to what my Milwaukee vacuum behind me's got. On the front here, we've got a speed control, we've got a on switch, and then we have a on switch with this outlet. Now, I'm not super excited about the outlet on here because it's only rated for 3.5 amps. So the outlet is not going to support the miter saw, and it's not going to be able to do automatic cycling like I would prefer it to, so I'll have to have an aftermarket source for that. And then it also has an automatic filter cleaning feature on here, which hopefully I'm not going to use because I will have the appropriate bag in there that this machine does come with. That's going to prevent me from needing that. All right, so pop this thing open. That should be it. Oh, just needs a little more of a pull. So underneath, we see the star of the show. We see 2 small HEPA filters in here. Now, these HEPA filters are rated for that 0.3 micron, which is very small dust. I recently had a family member who died of lung cancer, so not from woodworking, but just from general life. So I do want to make sure I protect my lungs because I don't want to suffer the same fate. It's also kind of cool. They put a little set of feet here on this. So when you do set it down flat, you're not going to crush the filters. On the inside, we have a goofy little bag. I'm assuming that's for storing some sort of accessories or tools. Then in here we've got I think it's 16-foot hose. It has an adapter on one end for kind of your standard size. I think that's 2 1/4. It does have a little locking piece on there. And then it's got a pretty small nozzle on the other end. So if I compare this to the Centec hose, the hoses themselves are pretty similar in size. But the opening on this Harbor Freight one is smaller. If I unscrew that, I'm kind of curious. Can I unscrew this? All right, so we'll take that off. I'll unscrew this one. And if I look at them, all right, so one of the things Centec advertises is they have a smooth inner hose where, there's a flat section there. Looking at this, and I don't know how well this thing is going to focus because I'm not using a decent camera. It looks like it's got the same smooth inside as the Centec hose. The Centec hose one looks like it's a little bit tighter of a coil, so the hose might end up being a little more flexible. But I plan on probably using the Centec hose, and it looks like, I'm trying to see if the Centec accessory will actually screw onto the Harbor Freight hose. And probably not. It looks like it's a little bit too big. If I want to make that work, I could probably force it. Yeah, I can force it to thread in there. But I don't know how well it's going to hold up. But it is nice to see that that actually works. I kind of want to use this to make an extension for the Centec hose. So, down further in here, we've got a couple more accessories. We've got a single tool holder or tool connection accessory. Actually, this is a different nozzle that threads onto the hose itself. So this is a little bit bigger nozzle, not much bigger. And then you've got your little brush attachment. And down here, more importantly, we have some bags. So these bags look, or this bag, because there's only one, it's a good sized bag. It does have a cardboard gate on it to go ahead and shut that thing off when you're taking it out if it's full. It's going to assemble down in here and slide onto this piece here. I might as well go ahead and assemble that since I want to put this thing to the test and see how noisy it may be. There's a little bit of a detent on there that you can push forward onto, and that will let that thing go ahead and retain the bag itself. So with the bag in place, turn this thing around. So the bag is on there pretty good. I can just go ahead and tuck the bag down because it's going to inflate when the vacuum actually gets turned on. We can go ahead and put the top back on it. So let me get the hose or the cord untangled from around the wheels. Not the greatest move there. And we're going to go ahead and place this thing on the top. Kind of guiding the bag. I'm going to put the bag on the outside of the filters so it kind of spreads out instead of getting stuck in there. I don't want the bag to be pinched on any of the sides or in front of a filter or something. So we'll try that and see generally how it works. Okay, pulling the bag up a little bit. It's kind of tight on the sides there. So this thing's in place. We're going to plug this thing into our outlet over here. And we'll do a noise test. I don't actually have a noise meter, so it's not going to be a good noise test. It's just going to be generally, hey, does this thing work and does it make a bunch of noise? I realize I'm a little bit close to the camera, so we'll tip this thing down a little more. All right, so we have our potential for noise. If we turn this thing over here, okay, I can turn this one on. Alright, now this one, I'm just going to connect the hose to it real quick. We can turn this one over here and turn this one on. So I'm not sure it's that much quieter. It sounds a little more restrained than the other one. So So I'm not sure if that thing's actually much quieter than the other one. It's got a little bit different sound to it. It's a little bit higher pitch. I'm guessing that's due to the, smaller diameter hose generally. But, taking a look at this other setup I've got, with the Centec on it. The Centec setup, you've got the normal 2 1/4 inch hose, 2 1/2 inch, whatever this is, going from here to a right angle adapter on the top, so it'll actually fit into the bench here. And then you've got this adapter from the 2 1/4 over to the, I want to say it's 1.5 inches or so on the Centec hose. I take a tape measure and stick it on here. Outer diameter is just at 1.5, inner diameter roughly 1 1/4. So I realize I'm probably off camera for that. Once again, not a great YouTuber. It's my first official type video. Anyway, so looking at that, it's going to be hard to put this thing through its paces today since I don't have any projects going on, and I'm going to have to do a follow-up video to see how this thing works. This video has gone a whole lot longer than I anticipated, so maybe I'll do a little editing and chop it down. So far we're only at 1 cut on the video. I got from the intro about a minute in, and then cut to the rest of the content. So we'll see how it works. Anyway, hopefully you like it. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I went to the store and bought this thing with my own money. The Hercules vac. All right, Hercules vac was 30% off coupon for it, so regular price is $350. I ended up paying $248 or so before the 6.5% or 6.25% sales tax for where I live. So out the door it was just over 260 bucks. I was kind of surprised to have one on the floor at the store because they don't seem to be like they're in every store just yet. Even the manager at the Harbor Freight store was like, "Oh, did you special order this and wait for it to come in?" And I said, "No, you had one on the shelf." So anyway, that is my nifty video. I don't know if it sucked or not. You can tell me in the comments if you cared or don't care. But we'll go ahead and do an outro here. So we'll see how this thing holds up. I've got some wood trim work to do. I've got some plywood cutting to do. So the tools I'm going to be using this particular thing with is going to be my ancient crappy Craftsman miter saw. I've got a Milwaukee track saw that I use quite a bit. I've got both the old and the new Milwaukee M18 sanders. For the record, I really like the new M18 one, the Gen 2. Maybe that'll be a separate video, but obviously since I've used it, it's not an unboxing. And kind of general tools around the shop. Things that I don't think this will have enough airflow for would be my router. I've got a couple different old Craftsman routers. One's got a table, one doesn't. Obviously this tool is going to be too small to use with my table saw, so I'm kind of out of luck there until I get something bigger. The other thing I use is a Bosch hand planer. So this is the only planer I've got. I'm not cool enough to have a decent planer yet, so this thing I bought in roughly 2002 or 3, and it served me really well. So when I need to plane something down, I grab this, but in using the shop vac port on the old vacuum, this thing actually worked really well. So it did clog up a bit depending on what direction I was cutting against the grain, but we'll see how this new tool works on it. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and leave them in the comments. If you want me to make more videos, cool, I'm happy to. If you never want to see me on YouTube again, put it in the comments, because I can take it, not a big deal. But like I said, I'm kind of thinking of this on an old school YouTube. Think of like a Hickok 45 video from 2003 or 4, where it's, him tripping over stuff and, generally just kind of making a hash of it. I'm not trying to be a processed guy. I'm not going to do a bunch of video editing. I'm going to throw some content out there. If you like it, great. If not, oh well. So, I'm not looking for this to get monetized. It's more just helping people in the tool community. So, as far as I know, my head could be being cut off by the top of the camera right now, which would be ridiculous. So, we'll find out when I look at the actual video. So, thanks. Have a good day.